Today, for our TBR Product Market Fit edition, I'm excited to interview Raphael Bernier. Our topic today is product market fit and early sales secrets. Hello, everyone. Let me introduce you to Raphael, who I'm going to call as Raf because that's easier to pronounce, and he told me to do so. Raf is an amazing success story. He's only 25, but he's a serial entrepreneur doing this all over again. And also, he's somebody who kind of feels he was forced to become an entrepreneur. So maybe, Raf, welcome to the show. Maybe you can start by introducing yourself and talk about that, amazing story you shared with me.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show today, and absolutely will be my pleasure. It's kind of unorthodox beginning for me. I always say we have to kind of like go way back to my birth. Actually, I was diagnosed with a immune system deficiency, and without being too complex about it and too technical, my system doesn't really protect itself against bacteria. So I grew up being really sick, and unfortunately at 17, I caught a bacteria, and I couldn't walk for 2 years, and that's kind of like what pushed me into entrepreneurship. I'd say like by mistake. I was forced to stay home so I couldn't go to school. That was before all the remote working and the remote studies, right? So you kind of had to be in class, and so I couldn't work, couldn't go to school anymore. So I was kind of like left out with the options of, learning by myself or learning online or taking online classes from different, mentor coaches and entrepreneurs. And I'll always remember because I went to a library next to my house, kind of like going there with my wheelchair, and I grabbed the book. It was my first business book, and it was the 7 Secrets of Highly Effective People. If you read that book, and I didn't understand everything at the time, right? It was just very new for me, all those new concepts, but it was definitely kind of like a lot of things made sense for me at the time, of just like, hey, you need to give before you can get back. You need to be super disciplined. You need to be active, and all those concepts. And it just kind of like resonated with me at that time. So um, that kind of like got me into listening to podcasts and just getting interested in business in general. And fast forward 2 year after that, once I started getting back on my feet, I decided to go back to school at that time to a program called small business entrepreneurship and small business management, actually. And that's where I met my first business partner. um, and quickly I knew that's what I wanted to do, right? Was to run a business, was to have my own venture at some point. And he had an idea because he was working part-time in a company that was delivering garbage bins. It's a very specific and niche industry, right? But and he said, hey, I've been delivering those bins, Raf, for a while now, and people keep telling me that their bins, they just smell horribly, and if we have a product that we could clean, that we could use to clean those bins. And the answer was just no at that time. So he told me, hey, Raf, like, I always remember we're in my backyard. It was July, and he came to visit me, and he said, I have a business idea finally that we could do. And he said, what about we clean the compost and the garbage bins? And I absolutely told him off at the time. I thought it wasn't sexy at all. I thought it wasn't. For me, that wasn't my vision of what business and entrepreneurship was, right? We always think about those fancy things, and um, but that was kind of like one of my first lessons, because that business became a success. And it's about doing what people don't want to do, right? It's doing the dirty work. It's about finding a real need in the market and finding a product or a service that match that need. And that's really what entrepreneurship is just solving problems. So what started as just us knocking door to door and asking people for their money to clean their bins, turned in less than 2 years into a 30 plus full-time employee, um, cleaning bins all over Quebec, and also distributing bins all over Quebec. We became one of the biggest contractor for cities, to deliver their compost bins, which was the new brown bin in Quebec at the time. And I knew this business had an expiration date, right? Because once everybody has their bin, it's kind of like over. There was some other services that we could offer, but the real game was probably for 3 to 5 year at max. So we kind of like just jump onto that opportunity. We build a service, we build technology as well, we build a truck to clean those compost bins, and we ended up in 2020 to unfortunately, with COVID, having to close half of the company and selling the IP and the technology to one of our competitor. Um, but again, for me, that's it's still crazy when I tell that story because it really just started because I was sick at home and I found that book. I got interested in business. I met a friend that became a business partner in school, and then went full time at 18 years old into my venture, and we did that for 3 years.
Thank you so much. I the book that you referred to, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. I'm 47, but I read it when I was 18, and it changed my life too. I read it like 10 times, but unfortunately, the culture we live in today, those kind of books are not appreciated. I mean, there's idea of character and doing the right thing, and those things for some reason are not cool anymore. I don't know why, but I'm a parent
Yeah,
and I see young people today, and for some reason that's not something that's in in Twitter or LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram that they are spending a lot of time on. Anyways, coming back, I also agree with you that business is simple. People overthink it, overcomplicate it, and really it's about meeting needs. And a lot of times the needs that are not sexy have less competition. So almost like it's like a blue ocean. You can jump in and do wonderful things. And as a serial entrepreneur myself, doing a bunch of stuff, I find that to be very true. It's about meeting a need, finding a unique way to do something, and then
that's right.
just learning and learning and learning and just till you figure it out.
Yeah.
So I commend you for being a 25-year-old and doing this. And I guess you make Quebec proud. So I'm sure Quebec is very proud of you.
Well, I'm not sure about that one, but I'm definitely on my way of building bigger things. So
That's
eventually,
awesome.
yeah.
Today, we are really going to focus on, I think, what we call product market fit. In other words, figuring out product market fit and some early secrets. If you're a startup or an early stage company, sales secrets. So let's dive in. I know you made a comment which kind of made a lot of sense to me. That you said the offer, right? The offer that you're going to give your clients, which is, in a sense, your product or a service, and how it's packaged, how it's communicated, is important. It's very, very important. If you don't get it just right, you could be spinning a lot of cycles and going around in circles. Or you might have a company that doesn't really grow really fast. It kind of is like pushing a big rock up the hill, right? It's a lot of work and a lot of work and a lot of work, and you don't have that, the breakthrough which a lot of tech companies have, and you start growing at triple digits, like 100% and so forth. So let's jump into that. So how do you think about an offer? Maybe you can start sharing your story and your experiences as we go through this.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's quite crazy because I think you could literally walk down the street and ask people about their problems and brainstorm around these problems, and you will find a business idea. There's just so many problems that needs to be solved in 2023, right? So whenever people ask me, but I don't have an idea, for me, I quickly think you just haven't done the work. You're just a bit lazy because everybody has problems, and you can find, and you look at some of the businesses online, and there's some product and services and platform that you just like wouldn't think of, but it didn't happen by magic. It's sometimes it's just that you have an experience in your life, and it's just more to put your lens and your glasses of entrepreneurs and looking at problem as an opportunity instead of just a problem, right? And just moving, and keep moving. It's I think that's what entrepreneurs do, right? It's when they see a problem, they stop and they start looking at it as maybe a future business idea or how you can solve that. So I think, is it so much about like finding this opportunity as building the character and the qualities to be able to see those opportunities in the market, and kind of come back to what you said, right? People don't want to build character anymore. They don't want to acquire those skills. They don't want to do the hard work, and they don't want to do the boring work. But that's the boring work, and it's all those failures that eventually make you better at seeing the good opportunities, at executing on the good opportunity, at finding this the right product for the right market as well. So I don't think it's so much about how can you find the right product, or how do you find it. I think it's how do you become the person that sees those problems, and how do you become the person that can solve those problems. I'd say like that's number one. And there's a lot of things you can do, right? Information is accessible nowadays. You can listen to a podcast like the one we're doing right now and learn a ton. It's just to expose yourself to this mentality. I think that's like step number one. Once you're kind of like exposed to that, um, obviously you need to speak with people, right? Before starting anything, you need to go see your future customer. You need to go see your future partner, clients, and really start building a network around that idea and getting some feedback about what you want to do. And one of the biggest mistake that I see is just people straight up start charging a ton of money for their services or their products without having any client testimonial, without having any feedback, and before having any review on what they're doing. So if you want to build, I think something that's like sustainable and that is a user centric as well, you need to be able to build the character and the trait to see those opportunities. You need to be able to connect with these future customers and get some feedback and bounce some ideas before charging anything or crafting any offer around it. You need to validate if there's a real need, um, first of all, right? I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, let's kind of peel the onions a little bit. And I think, yeah, I think a lot of people don't spend a lot of time on product market fit. And to be honest, I haven't spent a lot of time. So I'm really curious to learn this because, and then I also know some other people who spend months and months and they come up with a product that's just a rocket ship, and they just find the right perfect product and the perfect way to market it, perfect way to communicate it. So I just want to kind of understand, is that a process? Like maybe you can share an example of like maybe tell a story of how maybe the current business or prior business, how you figured out the right offer, right? Like give us some background and then of course jump in so people kind of can see it. Who the customer is, what the product is, or what you're trying to do, or what you thought the problem
Yeah.
was. How did you even come across the problem? And then let's go deeper and like how did you test it? How did you figure it out? And then how did you package it, right? Like in other words, again, you don't have to answer in one sentence, but you know what I mean. We can have a conversation around it. How did you package it? What were the key components of that product offering that made it compelling? What were some of the components that perhaps didn't make it compelling? So all of that kind of is getting the right product packaged the right way.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think one of the things that's like the most important for me, and that's really going to validate if you are onto something, is that if people are willing to pay for it, right? Are they willing to put a dollar into like what you're about to sell them? So yes, you come up with the idea. Yes, you bound some idea um, with some experts or some future clients, but at some point somebody has to commit. If nobody commits, it's probably not that good of idea, or it's probably not packaged well, like you said, right? And then you need to go back to the drawing board and do some adjustments. So I'll give you like a tangible example for Pana, my current company. Um, I had this expertise where I worked in incubators, especially in hardware and IoT, where we help them find the funding and we help them do some grant writing that nobody wants to do, right? So I've done it as a consultant, as a full-time employee for them as well for a little while, after selling the first business where I wasn't too sure what I wanted to do, right? So I joined this startup, started working on their offer, and it was during COVID, so we had to digitalize everything. So again, I knew people wouldn't come to the co-working, people wouldn't come to the incubation cohort, so we had to digitalize everything. That was a need, that was an opportunity for us. So we created, and I called all of those clients and I asked, what do you want right now that you can come physically to the office and meet with other startups? Like what what could we offer that is valuable for you? And one of the thing was funding, was grant writing, right? So we started doing it. I started building something around it, and I just ended up eventually splitting from that incubator, and that's kind of like how Pana was eventually started a year after that, where I had the expertise, I had I had trust in myself and confidence that I could deliver, and that's one big piece, right? You should never sell something that you know you can deliver, that you can do. Is it going to work all of the time? Probably not. Is it going to be perfect? Probably not. But you should at least be able to bring some results to the table, right? So that's kind of like number two there. So I'd say, so for me, Pana, what it was at the beginning was just, hey, are there some startups and some scale ups out there that I know, just like with my past experience, the year that I just done as a consultant, that could benefit from something, and let's see if there's a need. I'll charge the bare minimum. I think at that time we were charging something like $3,000 for a whole year, and we were like super flexible right on the payments and everything. And it was like we were really like charging nothing compared to what we're able to bring, but it was proportionate to the kind of results that we were able to bring to the table with the team that I had at the beginning as well. Right now, it's way more sophisticated, so we bring way more results to the client as well. So it has to be proportionate, and that's what I mean by market fit as well. It's not, people see it a lot as, do you have the right offer for the right client? Yes, it's true, but are you also bringing the results that they expect, like the perceived value that they have? Is it what you're delivering on the other end? Because I'll be honest with you, I can create any offer and say anything and create an
Sell
offer
it.
for need. Am I able to deliver? That's the operations like an all other problem, right? So it's always this balance between finding the customer and their needs, crafting something, but also having the operation behind to be able to fulfill, and make sure that the perceived value is equal to the results that they get. And I'd say if you can over deliver on the perceived value, that's how you're going to get some great testimonial down the line. You're going to get the referrals, right? So that was
Absolutely.
kind of like the idea with Pana, was to charge the bare minimum just to cover our costs, get some traction, get some testimonial, get a lot of feedback. I went on calls with my clients. What can we do better? What do you like? What do you don't like? If we were to create a product with our service, what kind of feature would you like to see? What kind of, and then it's just having those open conversation with our clients. And I think a lot of entrepreneurs um, will really underestimate what their clients can bring to the table in terms of brainstorming and sort of feedback, and how it's everything. Like, don't create anything that people don't want. So what's the best way to avoid that? Just talk with your clients. That's it. It's as simple as that. So that was our way to find our market fit. It's just, how can we just cover bare minimum cost, start being in the game, start having some clients, them having some trials and error, and from there, now we have kind of like the users to give us some feedback. And then you kind of like go to step two, which is, creating the real offer.
Yeah, let's kind of go a little bit deeper, right? I mean, it has to be so many things. Like, for example, we do marketing, and one of the things I realized is to build a website, it takes a lot of money. But unfortunately, just because you have a nice website doesn't mean your phone is going to ring the next morning.
Right.
So, how do you figure this out? Like, if you tell the clients, pay me 10,000 to build the site, not too many people are going to sign up. So one thing we did is we said, you still pay the monthly fee. We are not going to cut any corners in the first 2 months. You're going to put like 4 months worth of work for free. Why?
That's right.
Because we had a gut feeling if we could actually deliver results, we could keep these clients for, ever, right? Like 95% retention rate. So we made a calculated decision in our product offering to say, we are going to eat the cost up front, right? We are going to like take a loss. That's okay, because in the long term, everybody's happy. Clients are happy, we are happy, everybody wins. So a product offering is all these things coming together, right? Pricing, is it monthly fee, is it upfront fee? What work do you do versus, I mean, in the case of a service, what work does the clients do? Some clients, in some markets would do most of the work. In other places, they don't want to. So like all these nuances. So I'm assuming you're still figuring it out, because your company is relatively young, but like, tell us about some of those nuances, and how did you kind of start tweaking them,
Yeah, that's right.
using your business as an example.
It's a great point, and obviously pricing was always super important, the core of our offer, especially in our industry, where just for people that are not aware, in grant writing, most of the time you'll charge on the success rate, right? It's a success fee. If you win the grant, you get paid. um, I didn't really see that as a model that's like super scalable, quickly, and I'm all about speed, right? So I was like, this is not fast enough. Is it a great model? It's probably a great model, right? A lot of people do it in the industry. They've been there for a while. But as me as an entrepreneur who likes to move fast, it was like, I need some money up front, and I need to be able to move some money around the company. So to be able to charge $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 upfront to some of our clients just to onboard it, um, we had to do exactly what you just said. You need to go. You need to absorb the you need to absorb the cost at some level. You need to go get some success stories, so that it becomes a no-brainer for the second wave of clients to onboard and pay the full price for that. So um, I think we use like a very very similar strategy, and it's funny because I think like we went back so many times to the drawing board and did little tweaks to our course. Or obviously there was the price. We went from early days $3,000 for our services. Now we're between 10 and 20 most of the times, as just like the service fee that will cover our work. So I mean we times five over the last year. And what it did is it actually helped us. A lot of people say, well, it's just like raising your prices. No, it's just not raising your prices, it's attracting the right customers as well who can pay for those services. We're the ones that we were on the back end winning the most grant with. So we decided to raise our prices to start attracting more scale ups, because for us scale ups were the ones that we were having the most success. Some have the most success with startups, some with bigger companies, but for us, with the system that we had built, we had some data, very specific data that showed that, hey, those type of companies were delivering the best results, and if we want to keep having a lot of success stories, we need to attract more of those customers. So how do you do that? There's the pricing, other things that you can play with that
So I
I
just wanted to
love
comment.
doing.
I just wanted to comment on that point
Sure.
you said, right? Like I see this in SaaS companies. They will say, "Oh, we'll let you try our product for free," right? And many of those people who try the product for free never matter to being any meaningful clients. They kill a lot of your cycles, waste a lot of your time, and you have a business model that is unsustainable because you have costs. You have your sales team, you have your development team, you have your marketing team, all these costs. And if these people are not paying you anything, and yeah, we all heard of like a few free, freemium businesses doing really well, but usually they are like the exception than the norm. So I think it's really interesting what you said about, your price is now not 5,000, it's 10 to 20,000. But what it did, it started attracting the scale up companies, not a guy in the garage with an idea who's just wasting his cycles. And more than likely his grant won't get approved because he has no track record, he has no, experience, he has nothing. So if I'm the person approving the grant, then I'm like, why would I give this person free money, right? Like that's the way I would be thinking, as opposed to, hey, here is $1 million company, they've already done certain things, now they're just trying to grow, they're just trying to go to the next level. So I think what you said about like not attracting certain customers, I think is as crucial in this conversation, or being able to like come up with a product that will turn them away. uh, Keep going, but I just wanted to kind of point that out because I think
Oh,
that's a nuance that a lot
it's a
of
good addition.
CEOs miss.
I'd say like even on top to add to that, it's you also have limited resources. Like you're a startup, so if you start attracting 1,000 customers but you can only deliver for 100, um, you're in big trouble, right? And you're going to ruin your name and your reputation. So let's say you have a capacity for 100 users or clients. You want to make sure that these 100 users are the best user that you can get, that will give you referrals, that will give you success stories, that will give you the most money, that will be the highest as well. So knowing that you're a startup, I think a lot of people overlook that, and they just go in the market and whoever's ready to buy, like they'll sell their product too, right? But it's not always making you a favor. And we did that mistake of onboarding a lot of very early stage startups at the beginning, and doing shorter agreement terms as well, where we had all the pressure on us and we had to really rush everything. Um, and it just didn't really work out for us, right? And um, kind of like an interesting thing that we had to do. We had to churn a lot of our early clients for that reason, because we didn't see ourselves really succeeding with them. And I don't, there's not a lot of entrepreneurs that are ready to just say bye to their paying clients, right? But we knew that it was going long term, it was going to affect our reputation, and it's going to play against us. So we kind of like had this board meeting where we said, okay, look, those type of clients are not going to work, are not fit for our service. We're not going to, we're going to do a disservice to them and to us to keep this relationship. So let's refund them, let's give them all their money back, shake hands there, give them some resources, maybe we even send some to our competitors, and this one might be a better fit for you. And so we could focus on the scale ups and the type of companies that we really wanted to work with. And that kind of like reset that we did last year was just a huge blessing for us, because then we really started attracting some of the clients that we wanted to work with. um, and again, kind of like to circle back on my point before, what you add to your offer, right? There's one of the big thing for us was the guarantee, right? In an industry where the outcome is not guaranteed, adding a guarantee makes you very very trustable, and trustworthy in the industry, because if you're willing to take the risk in an industry where you can have the control over the outcome, which is the grant, right? It's the government that gives the grant, I don't give it. So if I'm willing to give you a guarantee that you're going to get the grant, um, why it's kind of like a no risk offer for you as a customer. So when we kind of like offered that guarantee, we raised our price. Well, for scale up, they don't have a problem to pay us more. We knew exactly what type of scale ups as well, in terms of like metrics we wanted to attract. So we had a lot of success stories for those. And plus on top of that, they were willing to pay way more than the startups, which was kind of like how we found our market fit. And from there, our month-to-month growth was just exponentially, and in about 14 months total, we were close to 200K monthly in revenue, and we're on track to hit half a million by the end of the year after only 16 months in business.
That's awesome. I was going to say something that I just wanted to thinking of when you were saying this before we switch gears and talk more about sales. When I first started, this is going back 15 years ago, I thought entrepreneurs are supposed to do good. And I kind of equated doing good with helping people without money, right? And I realized it takes the same amount of effort to sell somebody a $20,000 solution that they're going to pay you every year versus sell somebody a $200 solution they're going to pay you one time. So if your time is limited, you really want to go after those people, hey, who can write big checks, and ideally big checks again and again and again. Of course, in your case, yeah, I think they'll probably have you, use you for a second grant or a third grant. So you're kind of getting this repeat business. But I think, was it hard for you to like say no to all these people, these startups? You want to help them, you're one of them, and then really focus on those companies, and just curious.
Yeah.
Do you find a lot of entrepreneurs struggle with this? Like they're because maybe not everyone comes from money, and we have this story that, hey, people with money are not really the people we want to help. We want to help people who don't have money and so forth. So it's something that I struggle with, and it took me a while to kind of learn this lesson.
Absolutely, I think it's a great point, because I think at core, I think most people are good people, right? And we want to help, and we're generous, and that's what really struck me about the entrepreneurial community when I first started. I was just 17, right? It's how welcoming and people wanted to help me and help me build my business, that I've always have kind of like this will of giving back to the community. But the thing is, it's it's a very popular saying, but you need to save yourself before like saving someone else, right? So if
Right,
you, before being able to offer all those services and all those products to different verticals, and different industries and different company size as well, like you need to focus on one. That's just the truth. If you start helping startup and scale ups and SMEs and and corporate, it's like you're never going to be able to deliver. So you just need to pick one. And the truth is, if you have to pick just one, pay the one that pays the most, right? And
right,
it's not always the big companies, and the Fortune 500 companies, because the sales cycle can be very long sometimes, and the
right,
what you need to put in terms of effort, the ROI is not necessarily there. So, and for some companies and for some industries, startup is the most paying segment, right? So, watch out, guys, when you're looking, and that's why market fit is so important there, and you need to test out different markets as well, because you will find the one that fits you, but it just takes time and work. If you're just not willing to put in the work for a couple of months and go on calls with clients, with prospect, and ask and try different pricing and try different models and guarantees and terms, and if you're not willing to do that, you're just never going to get the answer, and you're always going to be spending some marketing, and you're going to get some leads, and you're not tracking anything. So that's why data is also like super important, right? You don't only start tracking data when you have a ton of sales and everything goes well. You need to start tracking data from the get-go to make sure that, hey, you know where you're going um, with all of that. So um, yeah, I think, just to kind of like answer your question there, obviously I always feel like I want to help everyone,
mhm,
but the truth is, for me, especially for like customers that didn't have really the funds to afford my services, and I kind of like always have the leverage to say, hey, we'll work for free and we'll just work on commission, right? I could say that to all of the startups and they will all sign tomorrow because there's it's no risk for them, all risk on me. But the truth is, at some point, I have a team, we have a vision, we have a mission. Everybody wants to grow, everybody wants to become better, and I would do a disservice to my own team and my and
Yes.
to myself as well, right? So I think at some point you need to just focus on one thing and do it. And I'm not saying that we won't have kind of like a startup offer in the future, and that we're not going to have a different offer. But as for now, um, because we found our market fit, I'm comfortable to say, hey, that's what we're going to be doing for the next year at least. Yeah.
Thank you. Let's switch gears. We promised our audience we're going to talk about some sales secrets for an early stage company. So let's jump in. I'll let you start.
I think if we really want to like um, make the most out of this conversation, especially for like early stage companies, it's lead generation, right? It's lead gen, lead gen, lead gen. You need to get people in the door, and if you can't get people in the door, don't even think about closing them. And not only bringing people into the door, the right people as well. What which we just said, because you don't want to put all that time and effort and close a client that it's going to be a negative ROI, right? So um, there's different tools, definitely. For us, what really worked as a service-based company, obviously, I'd say for the first like 6 months was cold calling. I'm very old school. There's things that we do in our process that is very automated, but still, you need to talk to people, man. That's just the truth. If you want to talk to them by LinkedIn, if you want to talk to them by the phone, if you want to send an email, for us, I'm a big sales guy. I've run sales team in my past companies. I've worked in companies where I was a sales manager as well, and it's always been cold calling is still like super powerful, especially for a service-based company. So investing time on your script, investing time on your listing, finding those leads, building a listing, and really dedicating some quality time into calling those prospects, having an open conversation with them, and not straight up selling something over the phone, um, will get you so much more result that you can think of when you're early stage. It's just that most people are afraid of picking up the phone, calling someone that they don't know, and asking them to have a conversation. For us, that was a game changer. We made our first half a million dollar just by cold call, with a script, with no fees, just your cell phone. You can find leads on the internet, on LinkedIn. There's different tools that can get you leads. Find those leads, call those leads, and from there you could easily get to a million in annual revenue by just nailing down one channel. um, so that was kind of like our go-to at the beginning. And eventually what really worked for us was to kind of like starting to stack some channel on top of that. So let's say you start with cold calling. Now that you have those, it really starts with the leads, right? There's different software like Apollo, that you can use. There's people, there's LinkedIn, there's sales navigators, there's like different tools that you can just use to find the people. But once you have those leads, it's all about creating a sequence that makes sense, right? And you can automate most of that. I mean, you can start by sending a cold email with some value in that email. We personally send a cold email with a roadmap with some grants that people are eligible for, or that company is eligible for. So that's kind of like our intro to that company. So, hey, Naren, I found those grants online. Here's some options for you. Here's my booking link. Happy to chat about it, right? If no answer and no booking, no biggies. Someone's gonna call you from my team 2 3 days later saying, hey, Naren, did you get the roadmap? Did you take a look at the program? Are there any grants that you feel you'd be eligible for that you want to do, right? If that person is open for a conversation, cool, we'll book a call and have a conversation with the closer. So it's all about working your leads and warming up the leads, so and creating those sequences, right?
Absolutely. I'm a marketing guy, so I'm going to inject something here. I'm sure many of you know BJ Fogg. He was a professor at Stanford. He came up with the BJ Fogg behavior model. And he said B equals MAP. B is the behavior you want, M is motivation, A is ability, and P is prompt. right? So the example that Raphael said had all of those. Motivation, right? He's telling them, hey, here are some grants you might qualify for. Who doesn't like free money? I mean, these are even growth stage companies. They're probably not making profits. They're still probably, spending more than they make, even though they're making a decent amount of money. So yeah, that's motivation. There are specific grants that you could perhaps qualify for. Really simple motivation. And then uh, ability, right? It's super easy. There's no like 300 word explanation about who you guys are, what you do, and a white paper and all of this stuff. People today, I mean, there's Daniel Kahneman who won this Nobel Peace Prize because he studied youth behavior and economics, I think in 2002, and he said there is this concept of fast brain and then the slow brain. 95% of the decisions today are done with the help of our fast brain, meaning this is not the thoughtful, let me sit down with a pen and paper and do things brain. This is like in the moment, you're making decisions, literally in seconds. So, so, so one of the things for the fast brain is, make it easy. So the fact that he's not doing all the other stuff, the fact that it's to the point, what they want, what's going to motivate them, just because a lot of times what we do as business people is we make things too complex. We add unnecessary words, unnecessary pictures, everything unnecessary. And the problem with that is that slows them down. It's almost like we are our worst enemy in our sales process, in the way we
That's
do
right.
things, in our emails. Again, when I use the word sales, I even mean marketing. And then last is the prompt, right? You have to give them something to bite on. I mean, imagine you're trying to catch a fish, but you never have a hook. Like, how can the fish, get caught? Like, it can't. So the hook is really simple. Hey, let's talk about it. Here's a link. And he's giving a free gift, technically. So we like people who help us. And he's saying, I'll use my expertise. I know what I'm talking about. And I'll use my expertise and time, and let's have a chat. No commitment. You're not paying me. This is just my gift to
That's
you.
right.
So I
What's
think
so funny
that
about it is
formula,
that people, when I say, hey, that's all we do, right? It's like super simple, but it just works, and they think there's some mad science
magic,
behind it, right? Of like how we do things and how do we scale so fast and how we. But if you have a real good offer and you found the product market fit, that's the kind of results that you're going to be getting. It's not about the sales engine behind in the marketing. That comes down the line, when you have
right?
a product, when you have something that works. So it's for them, it's like, well, the people would be absolutely stunned to see like what we do, how simple that is, just because we spent 12 months working with our clients day and night to build the best offer. They helped us really, really, really improve our operations, the way that we deliver things, the way that we present things, the way that we help them fix their problems. So whenever you're able to do that, you're able to really communicate it clearly, and people go on your website and go on your social media and find you and look at your landing page anywhere you want to draw them. um, if that's the effect that they get, and that's the impact that you have on your target market, you don't need more than, like you said, a motivation, the ability, and the hook at the end to close a lead or close a deal, right? It's just going to be so fluid. So if you're struggling right now with um, booking those calls, or selling your product, or attracting the right leads, I'm telling you, you're the problem. It's just what it is, right? It's not the industry, it's not the client, it's not the stars, it's not the sky. It's look at your offer, look at the problem in the industry, see if the fit is really there. Go talk to your client, see, hey, what made you buy the first time? What made you rebuy the second time? And then get some of that feedback. And 9 times out of 10 you're going to get some really constructive comments and feedback, and you're going to improve, and at some point it's just going to make a lot more sense. So um, yeah, all those sales and marketing strategies, they work. They just work, but you need to be doing the product market fit first and building a real good core offer. That's really was my biggest takeaway with Pana, for sure.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed a lot. I hope our listeners also got a lot out of this conversation, Raphael. Raf for short. If people want to kind of, keep in tabs, I mean, you're going to be somebody that I'm sure we all are going to be reading about in 25 years, or maybe even in 5 years, who knows, but maybe you're impatient.
Appreciate it.
Unlike,
Appreciate it.
so
I'm not
if
a
somebody wants to kind of, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say I'm not as near as far as you are right now, and it's super inspiring to get the opportunity to have a conversation with you, and we had a chat outside as well. And you guys have been you really crushing it in the last couple of years. So it's honestly all the honor and pleasure was for me. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. I guess it's in my case, it's overnight success, like 20 years in the making. So I guess I'm not that smart.
That's right.
It took me a while to figure things out. But anyways, so if people want to follow you, people want to just stay, keep tabs on what you're up to. How can they do that?
LinkedIn is the best. If you guys want to just look me up, Raphael Bernier. You can look at Pana as well. Pana Ventures, Panna Ventures with an S. Um, by the way, we also just launched our podcast called Fuel Your Growth. So it's all attached together. It'll all make sense when you go on LinkedIn. But yeah, Fuel Your Growth podcast. If you guys wanna join us, Pana Ventures. If you're a tech scale up, also, if you want to go on our website, if you click on book a call, it's going to bring you down to a short form where you can verify your eligibility for some of those grants, and that will give you the option also to book a discovery call with us. So it's all free. We're going to give you a roadmap, some of the programs that you might need. So happy to help anytime. But yeah, LinkedIn, just send me a DM, guys, if you wanna connect, need some help, or just want to chat.
Thank you so much, Raphael. I really appreciate your time today, and I definitely learned a lot. I want to take a minute to thank our listeners as well. We can't do what we do without you. Until we meet again with another amazing TBR episode, your host, Naren Arul Raja.